Miss, can you hear me? Elena's eyelids fluttered as she struggled to concentrate on the voice hovering above her. Her vision swam, offering only a vague silhouette of a man kneeling next to her on the frigid marble steps. I'm fine, she murmured, making an effort to rise. The world whirled chaotically, pushing her down once more. You're obviously not okay. You fainted. His tone was steady yet filled with worry. I'm calling an ambulance.
No.
Elena's eyes flew open, a spark of urgency igniting within her. No ambulance. I can't afford. She paused, a flush of embarrassment creeping across her cheeks. The gentleman clad in the luxurious blue suit was already engaged with his phone. Elena observed his gleaming shoes, likely exceeding the cost of her rent for an entire month. She had noticed him previously, rushing through the lobby, oblivious to the individuals tidying up around him. Please, she whispered. I just need a minute. He lowered his phone, examining her expression intently. When was the last time you ate something? Elena averted her gaze. Breakfast, she fibbed. Yesterday afternoon. The granola bar was the final thing she had managed to grab between her shifts. By the look of it, yesterday's breakfast, he remarked, tucking his phone into his pocket.
I'm Aleksander Rejt.
Allow me to assist you. Elena Vasquez, she responded instinctively, taking his hand. I handle the cleaning for the offices on floors 12 to 15. In my building, Alexander remarked, steadying her as she wobbled on her feet. And you're also the girl who works at Lorenzo's down the street. I've noticed you there, Elena tensed. I juggle a few jobs. So, Elena, how many hours have you put in today? Her silence spoke volumes. My vehicle is parked in the garage. I'm going to take you for a checkup. Mr. Reed, I value your concern, but… Alexander, he interjected. And this isn't a request. You fell on my land, so now it's my issue. Elena wished to protest, but found herself too weak to do so. Her phone vibrated in her pocket, likely the third employer reaching out to inquire about her tardiness. Without a doubt, she would be losing that position. My sister, she exclaimed unexpectedly. I must reach out to my sister. You can call her from the car. 20 minutes later, Elena found herself sitting rigidly in the emergency room, with Alexander by her side, despite her objections. You don't have to stay, she repeated for the third time. I trust you have significant matters to attend to. There's nothing more important than ensuring your well-being. For the first time, Elena took a proper look at him. His features were striking yet solemn, and his eyes held a depth she hadn't recognized until now. What's the reason? She inquired directly. Why what? Why help me? I'm just the cleaning lady. Alexander's expression was one of genuine surprise. You're a person who collapsed from exhaustion. That's reason enough. The doctor verified that Elena was experiencing exhaustion and dehydration. Upon exiting the hospital, Alexander was adamant about taking the wheel to drive her home. How long have you been working in my building? He inquired as they drove. 6 months. And I never noticed you until today.
Elena shrugged.
People like me are meant to be unseen. We tidy up when your gaze is elsewhere. Alexander scowled. That's not right. That's just how it is. Upon arriving at her apartment building, Alexander offered her his business card. Call me tomorrow. I want to ensure you're okay. Elena accepted the card with hesitation. I appreciate your assistance, but after tonight, our paths will diverge once more. Must they really? The question lingered in the air, a riddle that defied resolution. That night, Elena reached out to her sister Lucia, her voice trembling with emotion. I lost the night job, Lou. I don't know how I'll make the extra money now. You're working yourself to death, Elena, Lucia replied. And for what? So I can be here learning while you endure. For what lies ahead, Elena insisted. Your education is important. Your health is even more crucial. What transpired tonight could have taken a turn for the worse. Elena refrained from mentioning Alexander Reed or the way he had kept her company in the hospital. Nor did she speak of how, for the first time since arriving in America, someone with influence had truly acknowledged her. "I'll figure something out," she promised. "I always do." As she drifted into slumber, Elena's phone chimed with a message from an unknown number. "My office, 9 a.m. tomorrow. We need to talk. Alexander Reed." She gazed at the message, pondering how he had obtained her number. The forms from the hospital, I suppose. Tomorrow she would express her gratitude, but firmly decline. She didn't require rescuing, especially not by someone who had only seen her in her moment of weakness. Unbeknownst to her, Alexander Reed was in his vacant penthouse across town, haunted by the sight of Elena tumbling down those stairs and by his own obliviousness to the individuals who sustained his existence. "Absolutely not," Elena declared with conviction, rising despite her lingering frailty. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Reed, but I don't require charity." Alexander reclined in his chair, the vastness of his office amplifying Elena's sense of diminutiveness. "This isn't charity, Ms. Vasquez. It's an offer for employment based on your qualifications." "What qualifications? You have no understanding of who I am, only that I maintain your offices and fell into a state of fatigue." "I see you're enrolled in those online business classes," Alexander responded. "My assistant found your LinkedIn profile." Elena's face turned red. "So you did some research on me?" "I thoroughly assessed everything before extending the offer for the administrative assistant role," Elena stated, her arms crossed. "What makes you think I'm the right choice for this position? Surely there are countless candidates with far more experience." Alexander rose from his seat and moved to the window, gazing out at the city. "Think of it as a wise form of self-advantage. Your determination and work ethic are evident. I require a person who will persevere through challenges. And it isn't about pitying the struggling immigrant girl." Alexander pivoted to meet her gaze. "Does your pride always get in the way of opportunity?" The question struck deeper than Elena anticipated. She recalled her mother's words. "Opportunities don't knock twice, Mija. I can barely make ends meet with my current salary from cleaning and waitressing," she confessed with a hint of hesitation. "But I'm managing. The role offers 3 times your current salary along with benefits," Alexander remarked with a straightforward tone, "including health insurance." Elena felt her determination falter. Health insurance was a luxury she simply couldn't manage. "I need to consider it," she replied at last. "Embrace the day. The offer stands until tomorrow morning." As Elena approached the door, Alexander added, "For what it's worth, I grew up poor too. I can spot determination from a mile away." The realization caught her off guard, yet she departed without a word. In the plaza, Elena sat on a bench and called out to Gabriella. "He offered you what?" Gabriella exclaimed after Elena explained. "Girl, take the job. It feels wrong, Gabby, like he's rescuing me. So what if he is? Sometimes we need saving." "Not me," Elena asserted. "I came to this country to forge my own path. So, how's that going for you?" "You literally collapsed from exhaustion," Elena sighed. "I know, but..." Her phone beeped with another call. "It's Lucia. I'll call you back." Elena switched calls, her sister's tone instantly raising her concern. "What's the matter, Lou?" "My student visa extension got denied," Lucia replied, her voice shaking. "It seems there was an issue with my application. I have 30 days to leave the country." Elena felt her world shift beneath her. "That's impossible. We executed every step flawlessly." "That's not what they say. Elena, returning is not an option for me. Not when I'm on the brink of graduation. We'll find a way to make this right," Elena vowed, even though uncertainty loomed over her. Immigration attorneys can be quite expensive, often costing thousands of dollars that many individuals simply do not possess. After ending the call, Elena fixed her gaze on Alexander's business card. The compensation he proposed would assist Lucia. The advantages would assist her. Yet, embracing it seemed akin to relinquishing a fundamental part of her identity. Once more, her phone buzzed with an incoming call. The restaurant manager terminated her employment due to her absence from her scheduled shift. 2 opportunities lost in just a day. That evening, Elena perched on her bed, sifting through a collection of old photographs from Colombia. Her parents stood before their modest grocery store, beaming with pride, even in the face of their challenges. Following the passing of her father, that pride became their sole possession. "What would you do, Papa?" she whispered to his image. When morning arrived, Elena stepped into Alexander's office precisely at 9. Her choice was clear. "I'll accept the position," she declared, before even taking a seat. "However, I have certain stipulations." Alexander arched an eyebrow, motioning for her to elaborate. "I desire to be regarded just like every other team member. No preferential treatment due to our introduction." "I concur. I wish to be evaluated purely on my abilities. If I'm not good enough, you'll let me go just like anyone else. That's how business works, Ms. Vasquez.
Elena inaled de epli.
And I require assistance with a personal issue." Alexander paused, anticipation in his gaze. "My sister's student visa has been denied. She requires legal assistance." The words seared Elena's throat. "I wouldn't inquire, but I'll have my immigration attorney investigate it," Alexander interjected. "Think of it as a perk for the team. I'll repay you." "That won't be necessary." "It is to me," Elena insisted. Alexander studied her for a moment. "Your pride is both your greatest strength and weakness, Elena. So my mother tells me." For the first time, Alexander smiled, a genuine expression that transformed his serious face. "You start Monday. My assistant will assist with the paperwork." As Elena exited his office, her phone vibrated with a message from Lucia. "Any thoughts?" Elena typed back, "I'm freaking out. Maybe. Don't give up yet." On Monday morning, Elena stepped in wearing her sole professional ensemble, a modest black skirt and white blouse that had accompanied her at her college graduation in Colombia. The executive floor loomed large, its glass walls and the presence of individuals clad in costly suits creating an atmosphere of intimidation. Michael Davis, a friend of Alexander and the foundation's manager, was the first to welcome her. "Ah, you must be Elena," he said with a friendly smile. "Alex said you would be coming along." "Alex?" The name felt unfamiliar. Michael chuckled. "I've known him since we were children. Once, he was filled with grand aspirations and an even grander demeanor." Just as Elena was about to reply, Alexander made his entrance. "I see you've met Michael," he remarked. "Don't trust a word he says about our upbringing." "I wouldn't dare tarnish your meticulously constructed persona," Michael said with a smile. As Alexander guided Elena to her desk, she felt the eyes of her colleagues upon her, their curiosity palpable. "They're probably wondering how I landed this job," she whispered. "They're curious about how I managed to persuade someone with the right qualifications to collaborate with me," Alexander clarified. "My last 3 assistants left after just a few months." "Why? I can be demanding," he acknowledged unapologetically. "But I strive to be fair," Elena said, straightening her shoulders. "Good. Then we'll get along fine." That night, Elena called her mother to share the exciting news of her new job, being careful to leave out the details of how she had met Alexander. "Dios mío, Elena, this is absolutely delightful," her mother exclaimed. "Your father would be so proud." Elena gently caressed the photo of her father resting on her nightstand. "I hope so, Mama. I truly hope so." "Where are you taking me?" Alexander inquired, keys swinging from his fingers. "The area I live in," Elena replied, glancing at her watch. "You expressed a desire to gain a deeper understanding of immigration issues for your foundation. This is your opportunity to learn." Just 3 weeks into her new role, Elena had already established herself as essential. Today was Saturday, her day off. Yet here she was with her boss, ready to unveil a side of the city he'd never experienced. "We could have sent Michael to research." "Michael hasn't lived it," Elena interjected. "Additionally, Gabriella is waiting for us. In the city, no one can rival the empanadas. As they parked on Elena's street, Alexander's sleek car seemed to stand out in stark contrast. Kids kicked a soccer ball amidst the rows of parked cars, while melodies floated through the air from open windows. Older gentlemen engaged in a game of dominoes atop a temporary table. "Don't look so scared," Elena teased. "Your car has an alarm system." "I'm not scared," Alexander protested, merely watching. Gabriella's bakery was quaint yet pristine, the scent of freshly baked bread and coffee wrapping around them as they stepped inside.
Elena,
Gabriella's voice rang out as she stepped into view from behind the counter. She wrapped her arms around Elena, then cast a wary glance at Alexander. "So this is the renowned leader?" "Alexander Red," he said, offering his hand. Gabriella scrutinized him candidly before taking his handshake. "Hurt my friend and I'll poison your coffee." "Gabby!"
Elena exclaimed.
Alexander chuckled with true delight. "Understood. Elena has great things to say about your empanadas." "Take a seat," Gabriella instructed. "I'll bring a selection." At a small corner table, Alexander appeared almost oversized for the space, his luxurious watch glinting in the light. "So this is your origin," he noted. "Not quite," Elena replied. "I come from Colombia, but this," she gestured around, "is where I found community." Gabriella returned with a tray of empanadas and coffee. "Elena assisted me with my business plan when I started this place," she explained. "She's the clever one." "I'm realizing that more each day," Alexander concurred. After Gabriella departed, Alexander leaned in closer. "What was your true reason for bringing me here?" Elena took a delicate sip of her coffee. "In your perspective, immigrants are merely numbers or workforce. I wanted you to see people with dreams just as valid as yours." Before Alexander could reply, the bakery door swung open. A teenager hurried in, speaking quickly in Spanish. "Ice is down the street. Let everyone know." The mood shifted immediately. Mothers swiftly gathered their children. Shop owners hastily pulled down their blinds, and elderly patrons vanished into the shadows of back rooms. Elena rose to her feet. "We should leave." "What's going on?" Alexander inquired, though his face indicated he already had an inkling. "It's immigration enforcement. It happens often here." Outside, the street lay deserted. Elena hurriedly guided Alexander to his car, her hand instinctively clutching his arm as an official vehicle appeared on the street. "This is the reality my community faces," she said softly as they drove away, constantly glancing over our shoulders, even for those of us who are here legally. Alexander remained quiet for several minutes. "I had no idea," he eventually spoke up. "The majority do not. They're not interested." The next week, Alexander extended an invitation to Elena for lunch at a high-end restaurant, where attentive waiters pulled out chairs and executives acknowledged him with nods of respect. "This is your domain," Elena remarked, feeling out of place in her new work attire. "Some of it," Alexander responded, examining the menu closely. "The moment when all are familiar with your identity and financial standing." Alexander placed the menu aside. "You believe I'm at ease here, don't you?" "I embody comfort," he amended. "It's anticipated, yet I was raised on budget cereal and hand-me-downs. My mother juggled 3 jobs as well." Elena was unprepared for this openness. "How did you journey from that point to this one?" "Fortune, diligence, and finding oneself in the right moment when chance presented itself." Alexander took a moment. "And discovering how to fit into spaces where others presumed I didn't belong." This insight altered the dynamic between them. While they dined, Elena began to recount tales of Colombia, her father's quaint grocery store, and her mother's resilience following his passing. "That's why Lucia's education is so important," she explained. "It honors the promise I made to my father before he passed away." "Your sister's situation is moving forward," Alexander noted. "My attorney discovered some inconsistencies in the processing of her application." "Thank you," Elena said, the words flowing more effortlessly than before. As they made their way back to the office, Michael stepped into the elevator alongside them. "How was the power lunch?" he inquired, his gaze fixed on them with intrigue. "Enlightening," Alexander responded. Later that afternoon, Elena caught snippets of Michael's conversation in Alexander's office. "You've been dedicating quite a bit of time to your new assistant," Michael remarked. "She's assisting with the Foundation's Immigrant Support Initiative." "Is that all she's helping with?" Elena stepped back, her heart racing as she turned away, uncertain of the reason behind her sudden flutter of emotions. That evening, Alexander approached her desk just as she was getting ready to leave. "There's a charity gala next Friday," he mentioned. "The Foundation is receiving recognition. Would you attend? Your insight would be valuable." The invitation resonated with Elena in ways she couldn't quite express. "As your assistant?" she clarified. "As my guest," Alexander replied, his tone measured. "If you're comfortable with that." The distinction was clear to Elena. This would shift from professional to personal. "I'd like that," she replied before she could second-guess herself. Alexander beamed with a rare, authentic smile. "Great, I'll be ready by 7. Once he was gone, Elena dialed Gabriella. "He invited me to a gala," she elaborated. "Not as his assistant, but as his guest." "Dios mío, it's happening." "Nothing's happening," Elena protested. "He likely requires someone knowledgeable about immigration to engage with donors." "Of course," Gabriella chuckled. "Keep convincing yourself of that. What attire are you donning?" Elena felt a sudden jolt in her stomach. "I don't have anything appropriate for a gala." "Then it's time for a shopping trip," Gabriella announced. "You can't embody the immigrants of America looking like one." "But I am one," Elena reminded her. "Yes, but for one night you'll be Cinderella, except instead of cleaning the castle you'll be running it." As Elena hung up, she cast her eyes over Alexander's office. The gap between their worlds felt both immense and surprisingly close. For the first time since her arrival in America, she found herself contemplating the possibility of constructing bridges over such chasms, and the price it might demand to traverse them. "You look beautiful," Alexander remarked as Elena opened her apartment door. She donned a modest emerald dress lent by Gabriella's cousin, not lavish by gala standards, yet exuding elegance through its simplicity. "Thank you," she replied, a hint of anxiety creeping in. "You look great too." The ride to the hotel was marked by easy chatter about their jobs, until Alexander inquired, "Are you feeling nervous about tonight?" "A little," Elena confessed. "I've never experienced anything like this. Just be yourself." "That's who I invited." The ballroom sparkled with opulence. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, floral arrangements towering above Elena, and women adorned in jewels that could finance Lucia's education for years. Alexander Reed, a silver-haired man, approached. "The Immigrant Education Initiative of your foundation is truly commendable. I appreciate your time, Senator. Allow me to introduce Elena Vasquez. Her contributions have been pivotal in shaping our strategy." Elena shook the senator's hand, taken aback by Alexander's acknowledgement. "Please share your thoughts, Miss Vasquez. What do you think is most essential?" the senator inquired. "Access," Elena replied promptly, "not just to education, but to networks and opportunities that are often closed to immigrants, regardless of their legal status or qualifications." The senator nodded thoughtfully, refreshingly direct. "Alexander, keep this one close." As they circulated, Elena noticed Alexander watching her with something akin to pride. "What?" she finally inquired. "You have a gift. These individuals value authenticity, even if they seldom embody it themselves. Is that the reason you brought me?" "As a genuine example of an immigrant." Alexander scowled. "I brought you along because I genuinely enjoy your company. Is that really so difficult to accept?" Just as Elena was about to respond, a waiter arrived, carrying a tray of champagne. She reached for a glass, seeking a momentary escape. Later, during dinner, Alexander was summoned to converse with donors. Elena remained in solitude until Michael made his way to her. "Are you enjoying yourself in the lion's den?" he inquired. "It's educational," Elena responded with a touch of diplomacy. Michael chuckled. "I've been acquainted with Alex since we were 10. I've never seen him bring someone like you to these gatherings. What could that imply? Is there anyone like me?" "Someone genuine," Michael specified. "He typically arrives with refined socialites who understand the dynamics. It's evident you do not. Is that good or bad?" "Good for him. Perhaps it's beneficial for you as well." Michael observed her closely. "He acts differently when he's with you." "We're simply associates," Michael interjected. "Maybe at first. Not anymore." When Alexander returned, the conversation veered towards safer subjects. Yet Elena sensed a shift in their dynamic, an unvoiced recognition of what could be. The next weekend, Alexander delighted Elena by showing up with lunch at her apartment. "You've seen my world," he said on her doorstep, carrying bags of takeout. "I wanted to explore more of yours." They enjoyed Colombian food from Elena's favorite restaurant as she shared family photos with him. "Does your father have a kind appearance?" Alexander inquired, examining a photograph of Elena's parents. He was. Even in times of scarcity, he discovered ways to lend a hand to those in need. "Is that the source of your inspiration?" Elena lifted her gaze from the album. "Get what?" "Your determination to succeed without compromising who you are." The remark felt personal, as if Alexander had uncovered a truth about her that others overlooked. "Perhaps," she conceded. "What about your folks?" Alexander's demeanor shifted to one of gloom. "My father departed when I was 8. My mother toiled tirelessly to provide for us." "Just like me," Elena murmured gently. "Just like you," he concurred. Except she didn't have anyone to notice when she collapsed. The parallel hung between them, creating a bridge across their different worlds. "Is she still alive?" Elena inquired. "No. Cancer claimed her before I could reach my first million." She remained unaware of the legacy her sacrifice created. Elena instinctively reached for his hand. She understood the person you were evolving into. That's the aspiration of every parent. Alexander's fingers wove together with hers. "I've never shared that story with anyone before." "Why you?" "Because you understand sacrifice." As Alexander got ready to depart, Elena felt a tug of hesitation at the thought of concluding their time together. "I could cook dinner next weekend," she suggested. "Authentic Colombian cuisine, not the restaurant kind." "I would appreciate that," Alexander responded. "But first, would you join me for dinner this Thursday? There's a place I want to show you." Their first official date took place at a quaint Italian restaurant, hidden from the bustling downtown scene. "This was my first office," Alexander said as they walked in. "The owner allowed me to utilize the back room after hours, when I couldn't afford proper space. Now you possess half the skyline," Elena playfully remarked. "The scenery is more appealing, yet the cuisine falls short." They engaged in conversation for hours, exploring aspirations and setbacks, delving into Elena's challenges within American culture. Regarding Alexander's solitude in the face of his achievements, "The higher I ascended," he admitted, "the more I understood the hollowness of accomplishment when there's no one to share it with." "Is that the reason you began the foundation with Michael?" "Partly. Provided meaning to the funds. Yet, there remained an emptiness." His eyes locked onto hers, and Elena realized he was referring to a bond, the sort that went beyond mere professional ties and acts of kindness. When he drove her home, the moment at her door felt heavy with potential. "I appreciate tonight," she said. "Elena," Alexander started, then paused. "I've never encountered someone quite like you. A cleaning lady transformed into an executive assistant. A woman who sees me, not what I possess." He leaned down gradually, giving her the opportunity to step back. She didn't. Their kiss was gentle, filled with curiosity, then deepening as Elena responded. When they parted, Alexander brushed his fingers against her cheek. "I find myself drawn to you," he confessed, "and it fills me with dread." "Why?" "Because you ignite desires I've told myself to suppress." Elena grasped it all. She had constructed barriers as well, safeguards against heartache and grief. Yet, inexplicably, this man had managed to breach her defenses. "I'm scared too," she whispered. "Our worlds are so different. Perhaps they need not be." The promise in those words accompanied Elena into her dreams that night. Dreams filled with possibilities she had never dared to envision. The following morning, Elena awoke to a message from Alexander. "Thinking of you. Join me for dinner at my place tomorrow." As she typed yes, Elena felt a mix of joy and trepidation. Opening her heart was a leap into the unknown, a risk that could lead to pain. Yet the alternative, keeping Alexander at a distance, suddenly appeared to be the greater loss. That afternoon, while assisting Alexander in getting ready for a presentation, Elena caught sight of a captivating woman observing them through the glass walls of his office. "Alexander," the woman interjected, stepping in without a knock. "We need to talk." Alexander froze, his expression shifting from shock to a carefully controlled neutrality. "Victoria," he said, "you're back." Elena sensed the chill in the air, as Victoria's piercing eyes evaluated her from head to toe. "I am," Victoria replied, her smile failing to illuminate her eyes. "And it seems I have a lot of catching up to do," Michael explained quietly as Elena organized files at her desk, referring to Joyce, his former fiancée. They were engaged until Victoria concluded that a year in Paris was far more enticing than the intricacies of wedding planning. Elena observed through the glass as Alexander and Victoria exchanged words in his office, their body language revealing a complex mix of history and tension. "Why is she back?" Michael shrugged. "The individuals like Victoria Grant always come back when they seek something." When Victoria finally stepped out, she took a moment at Elena's desk. "So you're the new assistant to Alexander." The pause was unmistakable. "Elena Vasquez," Elena introduced herself, extending her hand with a professional demeanor. Victoria accepted it with perfectly groomed fingers. "Charming." Alexander always had a soft spot for charity cases. Before Elena could respond, Victoria continued, "We should have lunch sometime. I'm curious to know how a cleaning girl found herself in this situation." The words pierced through, exactly as meant. After Victoria departed, Alexander stepped out of his office. His expression was troubled. "I apologize for the interruption," he said with a stiff demeanor. "No need to apologize," Elena replied, maintaining a steady tone. "Your personal life is your business." Alexander examined her expression. "Victoria and I find ourselves in a bygone era. You don't need to explain anything to me." "I believe I do," he replied, "particularly regarding this evening. Tonight, our meal. Victoria's return doesn't alter the dynamics between us." But it had. Elena sensed it right away. The encroachment of Alexander's realm, with its intricate past and societal norms. That night at Alexander's penthouse, Elena felt like an outsider, even with his efforts to put her at ease. The breathtaking panorama of the city brought to mind just how distant she was from her own neighborhood. "You're quiet," Alexander noted as they dined. "Just tired," Elena fibbed. "Things have been quite hectic." Alexander placed his fork on the table. "Victoria's appearance troubled you. She referred to me as your charity case," Elena confessed. "Victoria demonstrates a remarkable capacity for cruelty when she perceives a threat." "Does she? What did you mean by that?" Elena inquired. "In danger." Alexander grasped her hand. "Indeed, because she perceives the depth of my feelings for you." The sincerity in his gaze softened some of Elena's defenses. Later, as they stood on his balcony, Alexander enveloped her in his embrace from behind. "I'm falling in love with you," he whispered. "That hasn't happened to me in a very long time." Elena turned in his arms. "I'm falling too. And it terrifies me." Their kiss deepened with new intensity, expressing desires neither had dared to articulate. In the weeks that followed, Elena found herself drawn further into Alexander's realm. At a foundation gala, she stood beside him as he announced expanded programs for immigrant education, initiatives she had helped shape. Yet even as their relationship deepened, small fractures began to emerge. Victoria reestablished her presence in Alexander's social circle, and Elena increasingly sensed the weight of his peers' scrutiny. "They're questioning what you see in me," Elena remarked during yet another upscale event, where she had to navigate the subtle inquiries about her background. "Then they're blind," Alexander replied. "But the inequalities can't be overlooked indefinitely." The moment of realization arrived suddenly when Elena caught wind of office personnel talking about layoffs at the cleaning service, the very company that had provided her with employment. "They are substituting undocumented workers with a contract firm," an HR manager clarified to Alexander during a meeting that Elena was documenting. "More straightforward, legally speaking." "What about the current employees?" Alexander inquired. "That's not our concern. They work for the service, not for us." Elena stayed quiet until the meeting concluded, but later addressed Alexander in private. "Those are my friends losing their jobs," she said, her voice tight with anger. "People I worked alongside for months. It's a legal liability issue." "It's a human issue," Elena interjected. "These individuals have families, Alexander. They arrived here for the same purpose I did, to create better lives." "What do you want me to do?" Alexander inquired, his frustration clear. "Violate the rules? I expect you to view them as individuals, not burdens." The discussion intensified until Elena finally remarked, "Perhaps Victoria was correct. Maybe I am merely your charity case. Your means of feeling linked to reality, without truly engaging in it." Alexander's expression grew stern. "That's unjust." "Is it? You helped me, gave me a job, showed me your world. But have you truly witnessed mine? Do you grasp what it signifies to exist devoid of your advantages?" The silence that enveloped them grew excruciatingly long. "I need time to think," Elena finally said as she gathered her purse. "About us. About whether we're deceiving ourselves." That night, Elena received heartbreaking news. Lucia's last appeal had been rejected because of a technical mistake. She had 2 weeks to exit the country. Elena reached out to Alexander, seeking his support despite their disagreement. "I'll consult with my attorney about urgent alternatives," he assured. "There has to be a solution." "But what if there isn't?" Elena asked, her voice trembling. "What if all your money and connections can't fix this?" The question lingered in the air, marking the first recognition that certain issues eluded Alexander's vast resources. When they met the next day, Alexander appeared aloof, lost in thought. "Victoria's father approached me about a significant investment partnership," he clarified, as Elena inquired about his demeanor. "It would significantly expand the foundation's funding." "That's a positive development, isn't it?" "There are stipulations involved. Victoria would become a member of the board." The message was unmistakable. "She still desires your return." "That's not the point," Alexander insisted. "It's business." "Nothing with Victoria is merely business," Elena countered. "You know that." The gap between them widened. In the days that followed, Alexander immersed himself in his tasks, while Elena concentrated on Lucia's turmoil. When they were together, conversations felt strained, touching only on safe topics. The ultimate rupture occurred following a dinner at Alexander's penthouse, where Victoria showed up unannounced, asserting that she needed to talk about the investment. "I should go," Elena said, rising from the table. "Elena, wait," Alexander began. "No, please stay," Victoria interrupted with feigned warmth. "We're practically family with this new arrangement." Elena glanced between them, suddenly perceiving everything with newfound clarity. No, we are not. We never will be. Outside, Alexander caught up to her at the elevator. This isn't what it appears to be. The appearance is irrelevant, Elena responded. What matters is that our worlds simply don't align, Alexander. We've been pretending they could. That's not true, is it? You reside in this place, she indicated, surrounded by the opulent corridor, while those who maintain your properties are dismissed without warning. You speak of aiding immigrants while being in a relationship with one, as if that grants you true insight. That's not fair, Alexander contended. I've never viewed you merely as an immigrant. Yet you don't regard me as your equal either, Elena replied softly. Not really. And I need to be with someone who does. As the elevator doors closed between them, Elena felt her heart breaking, for what might have been, and for the realization that sometimes love wasn't enough to bridge worlds built on such different foundations. 3 weeks of silence stretched between them, like an uncrossable river. Elena had gone back to her previous cleaning job, the company having been taken over by a new owner with improved labor practices. She had also launched a small consulting service, assisting immigrant entrepreneurs with their business plans, working evenings from Gabriella's bakery. You should call him, Gabriella said one night, setting a coffee beside Elena's laptop. There's nothing to say, Elena replied, not looking up from her work. We tried, we failed. Did you? Or did you just get scared and run? Elena finally met her friend's gaze. His ex-fiancée had returned to his life. His business associates regarded me as if I were something unusual, and he couldn't grasp why I was troubled by the dismissal of the cleaning staff. And still, you find yourself glancing at your phone every 5 minutes, wishing for a message from him. Elena found herself unable to refute it. In spite of it all, she felt a deep longing for Alexander that refused to fade. Meanwhile, Alexander was seated with Michael in the foundation's office, going through applications for their scholarship aimed at immigrant education. You look terrible, Michael remarked without any tact. I appreciate your feedback. Have you called her? Alexander placed the folder down that he had been feigning interest in. She articulated her stance unequivocally. And what position was that? That she wished for you to grasp her world as deeply as she was striving to comprehend yours. It's more intricate. Actually, it isn't, Michael interjected. You fell in love with a woman who pushed you to improve, yet you became defensive when she truly held you accountable. Alexander gazed out the window at the city below. I declined the investment from Victoria's father. I understand. And I re-employed the cleaning staff through a new company that focuses on legally hiring immigrants. I'm aware of that as well. So why hasn't any of it made a difference? Alexander inquired softly. Because you haven't shared with the one person who truly needs to know it. That evening, Alexander stood outside Gabriella's bakery, watching through the window as Elena helped an elderly man with paperwork, her face lit with satisfaction. When the man smiled gratefully, it reminded Alexander of what had drawn him to her from the beginning, her genuine care for others. When the man left, Alexander entered, the bell above the door announcing his arrival. Elena glanced upward, her expression solidifying in astonishment. Alexander. Hello, Elena. Gabriella emerged from the kitchen, took in the scene, and swiftly retreated through the swinging door. What brings you here? Elena inquired, closing her laptop. I needed to see you. Alexander took a step forward, then hesitated. I've been doing a lot of thinking since we last spoke. So have I, Elena admitted. I'd like to go first if that's okay. When she nodded, Alexander continued. You were right about everything. I thought I understood your world because I'd visited it, but I never truly saw it through your eyes. Alexander, please let me finish. He moved closer. I've dedicated my existence to constructing barriers, shielding myself from the risk of vulnerability. from the hurt of feeling out of place. Then you appeared, and ignited a desire to dismantle them. Elena observed him intently, her demeanor cautious. I was afraid, Alexander continued, not of loving you, but of what loving you meant. Having to confront my own blindness, my own privilege. And now I comprehend that love demands viewing the world through one another's perspective, not merely exploring, but genuinely grasping. Elena's determination faltered. What about Victoria? Victoria embodies a realm I have moved beyond, one filled with superficiality and hollow ties. I conveyed this to her weeks ago. And what about the cleaning staff? They've been rehired, with improved wages and benefits. A faint smile appeared on Alexander's face. They established a committee of workers that engages directly with management. Your friend Maria holds the position of chairperson. Elena couldn't help but smile at this news. You've been busy. I've been striving to become the person you envisioned I could be. Alexander reached into his pocket, pulling out an envelope. I have something for you. Elena accepted it with care. Within was a legal document. What is this? Lucia's visa appeal was approved, Alexander explained. Not through my connections, but through a community legal aid program that specializes in student visa cases. Elena stared at the document, emotions overwhelming her. How? Your friend Gabriella mentioned the program to me. All I did was ensure that Lucia's case received the attention it deserved. Tears welled up in Elena's eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me. This is what we do together. They assist one another in finding solutions, rather than resolving issues on their own. The term partners lingered in the air, embodying both a question and an invitation. I've missed you, Elena confessed gently. I've missed you too, more than I ever realized was possible. Alexander grasped her hands firmly. I stepped down as CEO. What? Why? I'm dedicating my efforts entirely to the foundation. Michael and I are restructuring it, to be led by the communities it serves. His gaze locked onto hers with unwavering focus. I aspire to create something significant, something that connects different realms rather than deepening their divides. Elena examined his expression, recognizing the honesty within. And what about us? Where do we belong in this new vision? That depends on you, Alexander replied. I love you, said Elena Vasquez. I want to build a life with you, not in my world or yours, but in one we create together. The bakery had emptied, leaving them alone in the warm light. Elena reflected on their journey since that moment on the stairs. She was no longer the weary cleaner, and he was no longer the unaware executive. I love you too, she finally uttered, the words both daunting and freeing. But love isn't enough without a foundation of equality. Then let's find it together, Alexander suggested, drawing her closer. Day by day, their kiss felt like a new beginning, not the fairy tale of a rescued immigrant and benevolent millionaire, but the real story of two people who had found each other across divides and chosen to build bridges instead of walls. 2 days later, Alexander led Elena to the staircase where their paths had first crossed. Why are we here? She inquired. Alexander placed his hand on the marble step where she had fallen months earlier. This is where I first laid eyes on you, truly saw you. It transformed everything. For me too, Elena confessed. Although I was unaware of it at the time. Alexander took her hand, guiding her to sit beside him on the stairs. I have a suggestion. A suggestion? Elena repeated, her heart suddenly racing. The foundation is initiating an entrepreneurship program aimed at immigrants, he explained. We need someone to direct it, someone who understands both business and the immigrant experience. Elena's eyes widened. You want me to run it? I want you to construct it, Alexander clarified. Your vision, your guidance. I'll support you, but it would be yours. The offer took her by surprise. Alexander, I lack the experience. You possess precisely the experience required. he replied. You've lived it. You're already doing it at Gabriella's every evening. Elena contemplated the idea, leveraging her business acumen to assist others in similar situations, crafting opportunities rather than merely seeking them. What about us? She inquired thoughtfully. Collaborating and being together would present challenges, Alexander conceded, but I believe it would be worthwhile. Then, to Elena's surprise, he lowered himself to one knee on the marble step. I had another proposal in mind as well, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. One more personal. Elena's breath caught as he opened it, revealing a simple but elegant diamond ring. Elena Vasquez, you collapsed on these stairs and forced me to see what I'd been blind to. Not just you, but an entire world of people with dreams as valid as mine. Alexander's voice wavered slightly. Will you marry me, build a life with me, and continue to inspire me every day? Time felt like it was standing still as Elena gazed between the ring and the man presenting it, the path from their initial encounter to this very moment playing out in her thoughts. Yes, she murmured, then with greater assurance. Yes. As Alexander placed the ring on her finger, she continued, on one condition. Name it. These stairs, Elena indicated the surroundings, should transform into something significant, a symbol of our bond. Alexander smiled, pulling her to her feet and into his arms. I believe that can be arranged. Their kiss resonated with potential, not of flawless comprehension or obliterated disparities, but of a mutual dedication to constructing connections over the chasms that had previously appeared unbridgeable. As they departed, hand in hand, Elena glanced back at the staircase where it all started, no longer merely the spot where a young immigrant had fallen, but the bedrock of something new and more resilient than either. None of them could have built alone. Are you nervous? Lucia asked, adjusting Elena's earring. Oddly no, Elena replied, smoothing the elegant white dress that Gabriella and Lucia had helped her choose. It feels right. 2 years had passed since Alexander's proposal on the staircase. Today, that very building would serve as the venue for their wedding reception, a thoughtful decision that paid tribute to their origins. Who could have imagined? Lucia pondered, that my headstrong sister, who fainted from fatigue, would find herself in this situation? Elena examined her reflection. She appeared transformed, exuding a confidence that stemmed from a sense of purpose, rather than mere determination. The initiative she directed had already facilitated the launch of 50 new businesses, generating jobs and opportunities throughout the community. Did you see the staircase? Lucia asked with enthusiasm. The surprise that Alexander has prepared is truly remarkable. I haven't seen it, Elena confessed. He's been very secretive about it. A knock interrupted them as Gabriella entered, stunning in her maid of honor dress. It's time, chica. Your millionaire awaits. Elena laughed. Please refrain from using that name again. What? It's technically true. Yes. But now he's just Alexander to me. No titles necessary. The ceremony took place in a sunlit garden, intimate and personal. Michael stood beside Alexander as best man, while Lucia and Gabriella flanked Elena. Their mother, flown in from Colombia, wept joyfully in the front row. When they exchanged vows, Alexander spoke in carefully practiced Spanish for Elena's family, while she included references to his mother in hers. The gesture symbolized what they had built together, a bridge between worlds. Following the ceremony, Alexander guided Elena to a car that was waiting. Are you prepared for your surprise? I've waited so long for this, she said with a grin. As they reached the building, where their story began, Alexander gently placed his hands over her eyes, before leading her through the door. No peeking. Elena found herself situated at what she identified as the base of the grand staircase. All right, Alexander replied, pulling his hands away. Look, Elena gasped. The once ordinary marble staircase has been transformed into a beautiful art installation. Each step now featured embedded plaques sharing immigration stories, some of struggle, some of triumph, all of courage. Photographs and quotes lined the walls, creating a living monument. This is Elena ascended the initial steps, engrossed in the tales. Some she recognized from initiative participants, others were new to her. The staircase project, Alexander explained, joining her. A permanent installation celebrating immigrant journeys, and look. He pointed to the step where she had collapsed years ago. There a simple plaque read, "On this step, Elena Vasquez and Alexander Reed began their journey together," demonstrating that when we genuinely recognize one another, change becomes attainable. Tears welled up in Elena's eyes. "It's perfect." "There's more," Alexander said, guiding her up to the next floor where the reception was set up. There, waiting beside the elevator, stood dozens of people. The cleaning staff who had once been fired, now employed by a worker-owned cooperative that contracted with Alexander's foundation, entrepreneurs from Elena's program, students from their scholarship initiative, and Alexander's business associates, now partners in their vision. "Welcome to our worlds," Alexander whispered, now united as one. As they stepped into the reception side by side, Elena caught sight of a table positioned near the entrance, adorned with sign-up sheets for mentorship opportunities and business development workshops, promising that their wedding would yield more than mere memories. Later, as they shared their first dance, Alexander embraced Elena tightly. "Happy. It's more than just words," she responded. "You know, when I collapsed on those stairs, I thought it was the worst moment of my life. I never imagined it would lead to the best." "The universe works in strange ways," Alexander agreed. "Sometimes we need to fall before we can truly rise." As the evening progressed, Elena found a moment alone with her mother near the staircase exhibit. "Papa would be proud," her mother said, touching the plaque with Elena's name. "Not because you married a wealthy man, but because you never lost yourself in the process." "I almost did," Elena admitted. "I nearly allowed pride to stand in the way of my happiness." "Pride and principles are not the same, my dear. You held onto your principles, and that's what truly counts." From across the room, Elena locked eyes with Alexander, as he conversed with Gabriella and Michael. He smiled warmly, the connection between them palpable, even at a distance. "We're expanding the initiative next year," Elena told her mother, "opening centers in 5 more cities." "And what about a family?" "What did she say?" her mother asked. "Do you have any plans for that?" Elena's hand moved instinctively to her stomach. "Actually, we have news." Her mother's eyes grew wide with surprise. "Elena, when?" "About 7 months from now," Elena revealed. "We only discovered this last week." "Alexander is hesitant to share with everyone just yet, but your secret is secure," her mother assured, holding her close. "A new adventure is on the horizon." As the festivities swirled around her, Elena paused on the staircase, her fingers tracing the narratives woven into the very fabric of the steps. Each symbolized a life, a dream, a crossing of boundaries, reflecting her own journey from the young immigrant who faltered to the woman who discovered not just love, but purpose. Alexander discovered her there, slipping his arm around her waist. "What are you thinking?" "That sometimes the hardest falls lead to the greatest heights," she replied, leaning into him, "and that I'm grateful for both." Together they descended the stairs, passing the spot where their story began. No longer separate individuals from different worlds, but partners who had built something new together, a foundation strong enough to support not only their love, but the dreams of countless others who would climb these stairs in years to come.